I didn't shout. I didn't make a scene. I just looked my nephew in the eye and said no. That's when everything changed. The workshop was full that evening. 40, maybe 50 people crowded between the workbenches and tool racks, sipping wine from plastic cups and pretending not to notice the sawdust that still clung to every surface, despite my best efforts to clean up. It was supposed to be a celebration. 45 years since I'd first opened Thompson's Custom Woodwork. 45 years since my wife Catherine had convinced me to quit my job at the mill and chase what she called my real calling. She'd been dead 3 years now, and this party was as much about remembering her as it was about the business. Tyler stood near the lathe, his girlfriend Megan attached to his arm like an expensive accessory. They'd driven up from Toronto that morning in his new BMW, the one I still didn't understand how he could afford on a sales associate's salary. He'd hugged me when he arrived, called me Uncle Rob the way he used to when he was small, before his father, my brother David, died in that logging accident. David had been my partner once, back in the early days. We'd built this place together, plank by plank, before the cancer took him too young at 42. I should have seen it coming. The way Tyler had been circling me all evening, steering conversations toward property values and retirement plans. The way Megan kept photographing everything with her phone, paying special attention to the timber frame ceiling and the view of Lake Muskoka through the north windows. But I'd wanted to believe he'd come because he cared, because family still meant something. The toast happened around 7. Our local MP, a friend of Catherine's from her teaching days, said some kind words about craftsmanship and community. People clapped. Someone opened another bottle of wine. That's when Tyler cleared his throat and raised his own glass. "I'd like to say something, too," he announced, his voice carrying that Toronto confidence I'd never quite gotten used to, about succession planning and keeping this legacy in the family where it belongs. The room went quiet. I felt my chest tighten the way it did when I knew something was wrong with a joint, when the wood wasn't sitting true. Tyler smiled at the crowd, then turned to face me directly. "Uncle Rob has built something incredible here. My father helped start it, and now I think it's time we talk about the future. The family's future." He reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a folder. Blue, crisp, the kind lawyers use. "I've had some papers drawn up," he continued, walking toward me with Megan recording on her phone. "Just a simple transfer of ownership. You've earned your rest, Uncle Rob. Let me take this off your hands. Let me honor Dad's memory by keeping the Thompson name on this business." The folder landed on the workbench between us, right next to the cherrywood box I'd been finishing for Mrs. Patterson's anniversary. 45 years of work, of Catherine's dreams, of David's sweat, reduced to whatever was inside that blue folder. "Tyler," I said slowly, my hand still on the box, "this isn't the time. It's exactly the time." His smile didn't waver, but something cold flickered behind it. "Everyone's here. Everyone who cares about this place. Let's make it official. Sign these papers, and we can celebrate properly. The property, the business, the client list, everything transfers to me. I'll even let you keep working here, if you want, part-time, consultant role. Let me keep working." In the shop I'd built, on the property Catherine and I had mortgaged our future to buy. "No," I said. "Just that. Just no." The word seemed to echo in the sudden silence. Someone's wine glass clinked against a chisel set. Outside, a loon called across the lake. Tyler's face changed. The smile cracked, and beneath it was something I'd never seen before. Something hungry. "What do you mean, no?" "I mean no, Tyler. I'm not signing anything tonight. This is a party, not a business meeting. Uncle Rob." His voice dropped lower, more dangerous. "I've been patient. 3 years since Aunt Catherine died. 3 years watching you struggle to keep up with orders. Watching you lose clients because you can't scale. I'm offering you a way out. A dignified way out." Megan's phone was still recording. I could see the little red light, feel the weight of all those eyes watching us. "I'm not looking for a way out," I said. That's when he did it. Tyler reached across the workbench, grabbed my wrist, and pressed my hand down onto the folder. His grip was tight, aggressive, the kind of grip that leaves marks. "You're going to sign these papers," he said, loud enough now that everyone could hear. "My father built this place as much as you did. He deserves to have his legacy continued by his blood. You had your time. Now, it's mine. I pulled my hand back, stepped away from the bench. Tyler, you need to leave. He laughed. Actually laughed. Leave? This is my property, old man. Or it will be, once you stop being stubborn and face reality. You're 67. You've got arthritis in both hands. How many more years do you think you can swing a hammer? How long before you hurt yourself and I have to clean up that mess too? The cruelty in his voice, the calculation. It was like watching a stranger wear my nephew's face. I said no. Tyler's hand shot out and swept the folder off the workbench. Papers scattered across the floor, across the cherry wood box, across 45 years of memories. Then you're a fool, he spat. My lawyer will be in touch. You'll sign over this property one way or another. Dad left me something in his will, something you've been keeping from me. I know it. And if you won't give it to me willingly, I'll take you to court. I'll tie this place up in litigation so expensive you'll have to sell it just to pay your legal bills. He turned to the room, to all those witnesses. Everyone here knows this place should be mine. My father's blood, my father's sweat. What right does he have to keep it? For a moment, nobody moved. Then Mrs. Patterson, 76 and sharper than most people half her age, stepped forward. What right? She said quietly. The right of the man who paid every mortgage payment. The right of the man who kept the lights on when David was too sick to work. The right of the man who put David's name on the sign even after he was gone, because that's what partners do. Tyler's face flushed red. You don't know what you're talking about, lady. I know exactly what I'm talking about. I was Catherine's friend for 40 years. I know where every penny came from. She looked at me. Don't you dare let him bully you, Robert. Tyler grabbed Megan's arm. We're leaving. But this isn't over, Uncle Rob. You'll be hearing from my lawyer Monday morning. And when you're drowning in legal bills, trying to figure out how to save this place, remember that I offered you the easy way. They pushed through the crowd toward the door. I heard the BMW start up, heard gravel spray as he accelerated down the driveway too fast. The party dissolved after that. People offered sympathetic words, tight hugs, promises to testify if it came to court. But underneath it all, I could see the worry. Tyler was right about one thing. Legal battles were expensive. And I was 67, with arthritis that made morning grip strength a prayer, not a guarantee. By 9, everyone had left, except Mrs. Patterson and Tom Chen, who'd been my accountant since 1985. He's bluffing, Tom said, helping me pick up the scattered papers. There's nothing in David's will about the workshop. I handled the estate myself. David owned 15% of the business, and you bought that out from his estate years ago. Everything's in your name, clean and clear. Then what's he talking about? I asked. Mrs. Patterson handed me a glass of whiskey. He's talking about desperation. That boy's in debt up to his eyeballs. I've heard things through the church network. The BMW is leased, the Toronto condo is mortgaged to the hilt, and he's been gambling. Badly. The whiskey burned going down, so he wants to liquidate my life to pay his debts. Looks that way. Tom gathered the papers into a pile. These transfer documents are actually legitimate. He must have paid a real lawyer, but they're worthless without your signature. Can he actually take me to court? Tom hesitated. He can file a nuisance suit, claim some kind of family entitlement. It won't go anywhere, but you'd still have to defend it. And yes, that costs money. I looked around the workshop. At the tools Catherine had surprised me with on our 10th anniversary. At the timber frame David and I had raised in a February snowstorm. At the photographs on the wall, 45 years of projects, of customers, of the life we'd built. I'm not giving this up, I said. Not to him, not to anyone. Mrs. Patterson patted my arm. Good, because Catherine would haunt you if you did. They left around 10. I turned off most of the lights, but couldn't bring myself to go inside the house yet. Instead, I sat at my main workbench and pulled out the cherry box again, running my hands over the smooth finish. It was supposed to be for Mrs. Patterson's 50th anniversary, but her husband had died 6 months ago. Now it would just be a memory box, a place for letters and photographs and all the things that remain when someone you love is gone. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Last chance. Sign the papers or my lawyer files Monday. Your choice, old man. I set the phone down and picked up a piece of sandpaper. Sometimes, when everything feels like it's falling apart, the only thing that makes sense is to keep working, keep sanding, keep shaping, keep building. It's what Catherine would have done. The weekend passed in a haze of worry and work. I finished Mrs. Patterson's box, started a commission for a corporate boardroom table, tried not to think about lawyers and litigation and losing everything. Sunday evening, I got a call from Sarah Mitchell, who managed the town's historical society. Robert, I heard about what happened Friday with your nephew. News traveled fast in Muskoka. Yeah, I need you to come to the courthouse tomorrow. 9 a.m. There's something you need to see. Sarah, if this is about registering the workshop as a heritage site, I appreciate the thought, but it's not about that. Just trust me. 9 a.m. Don't be late. She hung up before I could ask more questions. I didn't sleep much that night. By 8:30 Monday morning, I was sitting in my truck outside the county courthouse, drinking bad coffee from a travel mug and wondering what I was doing here. Sarah's car pulled up at 8:45, and with her was James Wu, the lawyer who'd handled Catherine's estate. What's going on? I asked as we walked inside. You'll see, Sarah said, which wasn't reassuring. We took the elevator to the third floor, to a small conference room I'd never known existed. Inside, a woman in her early 50s sat at a table with 3 large document boxes stacked in front of her. Robert Thompson? She asked, standing to shake my hand. I'm Linda Kowalski. I was Catherine's lawyer for the last year of her life. I felt the floor shift beneath me. Catherine had her own lawyer? She did. She came to me in January 2019, 2 months before she passed. Said she needed to make some arrangements that you didn't know about yet. Linda opened the first box. She was very specific about the timing. These documents were to remain sealed until 2 conditions were met. First, 3 years after her death, and second, any legal challenge to your ownership of the workshop property. My hands started shaking. What documents? Linda pulled out a thick folder. First, this is a declaration of trust. Did you know that Catherine inherited money from her aunt in 2005? About $600,000. I stared at her. No, she never said anything. She didn't want you to know because she knew what you'd do. You'd have used it to expand the business, to hire more help, to make things easier. But Catherine had a different plan. She invested it, carefully, conservatively. That money is now worth approximately $1.8 million. The room tilted. What? She set up a trust, Robert, with very specific instructions. The principal is untouchable, but the income can be used for specific purposes, maintaining the workshop, funding legal defenses if necessary, and providing a living stipend for you if the business ever becomes unsustainable. Linda slid papers across the table. You're not going to lose the workshop to your nephew's legal bills. This trust will cover everything. I couldn't speak, could barely breathe. Sarah leaned forward. There's more, Robert. Linda opened the second box. Catherine also filed a series of declarations with the province. She had the workshop and property designated as a significant cultural heritage site based on its historical impact on the region's craft industry. She spent a year documenting everything, interviewing former apprentices, gathering testimonials. The designation was approved 6 weeks before she died, but she asked me to hold the paperwork until it was needed. Why? The word came out as a whisper. Because she knew, Linda said gently. She knew David's son would come eventually. She knew Tyler was struggling with money even then. She wanted to protect you, but she also wanted to protect the workshop itself. The heritage designation means Tyler can't force a sale. The property can only be transferred to someone who agrees to maintain its historical character. No developer would touch it now. The third box contained letters, dozens of them, in Catherine's handwriting. She wrote these over her last few months, Linda explained. One for each possible scenario. One for if the business thrived. One for if you decided to retire. One for if someone challenged your ownership. She pulled out a specific envelope, marked with my name and the words, if Tyler forces the issue. My hands trembled as I opened it. Catherine's handwriting swam before my eyes. My dearest Robert, if you're reading this, it means Tyler has shown his true colors. I'm sorry. I know you wanted to believe he'd grown into a better man than this. I wanted to believe it too. But love isn't blind, and I've seen the warning signs. The way he looks at the property when he visits, the questions about what the land is worth, the casual comments about your retirement. He's David's son, and I love David like a brother, but Tyler isn't David. David built things. Tyler only knows how to take. I've tried to give you the tools to protect yourself. The money is yours to use as needed. The heritage designation should stop any forced sale. But more than that, I wanted you to know, you don't owe anyone your life's work. Not family, not guilt, not obligation. The workshop is yours because you earned it. Every mortgage payment, every late night, every sacrifice. David helped in the beginning, yes, but he was a partner, not an owner of your soul. You bought out his share fairly. You kept his name on the sign out of love, not debt. Don't let Tyler or anyone else make you feel like you stole something. You built this. With your hands, your heart, your stubborn refusal to quit even when things were hard. Keep building, my love. Keep creating. And when you're finally ready to pass this on, do it on your terms. To someone who will cherish it the way we did. All my love. Always. Catherine. I had to set the letter down. My eyes were too blurred to read anymore. James Wu spoke for the first time. There's one more thing. Catherine filed a formal complaint with the Law Society about any lawyer who might attempt to pursue a frivolous inheritance claim on Tyler's behalf. She documented David's estate settlement, proved it was complete and fair, and essentially poisoned the well for any lawyer who might take Tyler's case. Most won't touch it now. It's too well documented as a nuisance suit. She thought of everything, I said. She loved you, Sarah said simply. And she knew you'd never think to protect yourself this way. You'd just try to work harder, to make enough money to fight it off. She wanted to give you permission to rest, to know you're safe. We sat there for a long time, in that small conference room, while Linda walked me through the details, the trust account numbers, the heritage designation, paperwork, the letters Catherine had written for other scenarios, including one that made me laugh through tears. If you're being stubborn about retiring, even though your hands hurt. Around 11, my phone rang. Tyler. I almost didn't answer. But Linda nodded, and I picked up. My lawyer says you've got some kind of heritage designation on the property, Tyler said without preamble. His voice was tight, angry. You did this deliberately. You blocked me. I didn't do anything, Tyler. Catherine did. Aunt Catherine? She's been dead 3 years. She knew, I said quietly. She knew you'd come for this place eventually. And she made sure I'd be protected when you did. Silence on the other end. Then, this is bullshit. That property is worth millions. Lakefront, heritage designation or not, someone will buy it. It's not for sale. You can't work forever, old man. What happens when you can't hold a hammer anymore? When you're too old to fulfill orders? That business will die, and all that value will die with it. Then it dies, I said. But it dies mine, on my terms, not yours. You're screwing me out of my inheritance, Tyler. I kept my voice level, though my hands were shaking. Your father owned 15% of this business. When he died, I bought that share from his estate for fair market value. Your mother used that money to put you through college. There is no inheritance here. There never was. He built that place. He helped build it. 40 years ago. And I've been paying for it, maintaining it, growing it, ever since. You want a legacy? Go build your own. I hung up before he could respond. Linda was gathering the papers back into the boxes. He'll probably try one more time. Send a threatening letter. Maybe file a complaint with the township. But it won't go anywhere. Catherine's documentation is ironclad. What do I owe you? I asked. For all this work? Nothing. Catherine paid a retainer that covered everything, including the next 10 years of trust administration if needed. Linda smiled. She was very thorough. I drove back to the workshop in a daze. The morning shift was already underway. Jake and Marcus working on a custom dining set, while Amy handled the finishing room. They'd kept things running while I was gone, the way they always did. Good people. Catherine would have liked them. Mrs. Patterson showed up around 2 with a casserole, and the news that Tyler had been by the church that morning, trying to rally support. Nobody wanted to hear it, she said. He made a fool of himself, yelling about fairness and family rights. Father McKenna told him to leave. I'm sorry he's bothering people. Don't be. Let him show everyone who he really is. Sometimes that's the only way people learn. That evening, I sat at my workbench with Catherine's letter spread out in front of me. I read it 3 times, memorizing the loops of her handwriting, the way she always made her capital R's with that extra flourish. She'd protected me. Even after death, even though she couldn't hold my hand or talk me through the fear, she'd found a way to keep me safe, to keep the workshop safe, to keep the dream we'd built together alive. My phone buzzed. Another text from Tyler. This isn't over, but it was. I could feel it in the way my shoulders finally relaxed, in the way the workshop seemed to breathe around me. Catherine had given me more than financial protection. She'd given me permission to stand firm, to believe I was worthy of the life I'd built. I picked up a piece of walnut I'd been saving for something special and began to sketch. A box, larger than Mrs. Patterson's. Something to hold all of Catherine's letters, all the documents Linda had given me, all the proof that love can protect across years, and even death. The next morning, I called a young woman named Iris, who'd been apprenticing with me for 2 years. She was talented, hungry to learn, and reminded me a lot of Catherine in her determination to do things right. How would you feel about becoming a partner? I asked. Not now, but eventually. Learn the business side, the client relationships. When I'm ready to step back, really step back, this place should go to someone who'll care about it. Someone who sees it as more than just property value. Iris's face lit up. Are you serious? Catherine left me the means to protect this place. But she also left me the responsibility to pass it on the right way. Not to family just because they're blood. To someone who'll treasure it. I won't let you down, Mr. Thompson. I know you won't. Tyler showed up one more time, 3 weeks later. I was closing up shop when his BMW pulled into the driveway. But he didn't get out with the same aggressive confidence as before. He sat behind the wheel for a long time, before finally walking to the workshop door. I need money, he said. No preamble, no threats. Just desperation. I'm in deep, Uncle Rob, gambling debts. If I don't pay them by the end of the month, they're going to hurt Megan. Maybe worse. Part of me, the part that remembered a small boy helping his father sand wood, wanted to help. But Catherine's voice echoed in my head. You don't owe anyone your life's work. I can give you the number for a debt counselor, I said. And if you're really in danger, go to the police. But I'm not giving you money, Tyler. And I'm not giving you this workshop. His face crumpled. My dad built this place. Your dad helped start it. There's a difference. He was your brother, and I loved him. I kept his name on the sign. I bought out his share fairly and helped your mother when she needed it. I've done right by David's memory. But that doesn't mean I owe you a life you haven't earned. Tyler stood there, fists clenched, and I could see him wrestling with whether to beg or threaten. In the end, he did neither. He just walked back to his car and drove away. I haven't seen him since. I heard through Mrs. Patterson that he declared bankruptcy, that Megan left him, that he moved out west somewhere to start over. I hope he finds whatever he's looking for. I hope he learns to build instead of take. 6 months after that confrontation, I officially made Iris a junior partner. We held a small ceremony, just the staff and a few friends. Mrs. Patterson came, and Sarah from the Historical Society, and Tom Chen with his careful accountant's blessing. I gave Iris a set of tools that had belonged to David. Good tools, well maintained. These were my brother's, I told her. He was a good man, a good craftsman. I want you to have them, not because you're inheriting an empire, but because you're building something real. Catherine would have liked that, Iris cried. So did I. That night, I sat in the workshop alone, running my hands over the walnut box I'd been working on. Catherine's letters were inside, along with all the legal documents that proved her love extended beyond death. The box was finished now, sealed and perfect. I'd keep it in the shop, on a shelf where I could see it every day. A reminder that protection comes in many forms, that love finds ways to guard what matters, that the best inheritances aren't money or property, but the wisdom to know what's worth keeping. The loon called from the lake. I turned off the lights and locked the door. Tomorrow, I'd start on a new commission, a headboard for a young couple just buying their first house. The work continues, the shop endures, and somewhere, I like to think, Catherine is smiling. I didn't shout that night when Tyler tried to take everything. I didn't have to. Catherine had already fought that battle for me. She'd given me the one thing Tyler could never take, the certainty that I'd earned my place here, that I deserved to protect what we'd built, and that love, real love, always finds a way to stand guard. The keys to the workshop stayed in my pocket, and that's exactly where they belonged.